Then you add another layer. You don't bake the whole cake at one time. You want a 7-layer cake, you got to do one layer at a time. You got to lay it down. You got to put the icing on. You got to do the next layer. I'm sure that's probably how it worked. It was something that only took me, I don't know, 20 years of being in the gym and lifting weights and training and doing all these things. It's taken me this long to learn this lesson. And honestly, I didn't even learn it through my own training. I actually learned it through working with clients and through working with an array of different types of people and body types and injury histories, health histories, and all that. And what I've had to learn, and I'm so glad I finally have, is that less is actually more. We live in a society that is driven by competition, and we're constantly in competition with the next person. You know, think about it. You're in the gym, somebody asks you, well, how much you bench, how much you squat? And that's really a comparison that's not even important, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much I can bench or how much I can squat, unless I'm there specifically to be able to bench or squat as much weight as physically possible. But we're always at competition with other people and also ourselves. So we're always trying to push the envelope and trying to do more and fit more in, and how can I do more? And we're trying to optimize and all these things. And we end up just bogging ourselves down to where we get very little accomplished, or what we're doing all these things for isn't producing the result that we want and the benefit that we want. And I had that same mentality for, you know, the first 19 years of me lifting and training. Was I always need to do more. Like, there's got to be more. I need to add to everything. I need to find all the new exercises and all the new pieces of equipment. You know, even when I open my gym, you know, I need all the new pieces of equipment. I need as many things as possible. It's always more. And I did that with my own training for so long and couldn't figure out why I kept getting injured. You know, little injuries, little tweaks here and there. Why I would constantly feel worse rather than feel better. Because you think, if I'm adding to my fitness and I'm adding to my training, and training is good for the body and training makes us feel better, then the more that I do, the better I should feel, right? As long as I can somewhat recover from it. But I've come to learn through watching other people go through my programming that less is actually more. And you need a lot less of everything to be successful, wildly successful, than you think. So when someone, you know, gets into fitness or gets back into fitness, what do? Oh, I need the newest supplement stack. I need to go get a gym membership. I need to buy this, you know, accessory. I need to build a home gym. I need to do all these things. And it's like we go from doing nothing and knowing that nothing is a problem and thinking that all of a sudden trying to do everything, like that's going to be the solution, or that's going to be what makes things better or solves the problem. So we need to understand that more is not better. We only have so much of a capacity. And this is extremely important for people that are very busy. Rather, if you work a lot, you own a business, you're a parent, you've got things going on nonstop in your life, you've got 1,000 things on your plate to accomplish every day. And we have the audacity to think that somehow we can create some supernatural capacity to be able to now handle training in the gym an hour or two, 5, 6 days a week, doing our cardio, doing all the meal prep, buying all the supplements, making sure we're taking everything when we're supposed to, making sure we're doing all these recovery tactics, the ice baths and the saunas and the red light therapy and all these different things that we think we're going to be able to just pack all these into our life and our schedule, into our budget, and somehow that's going to be sustainable. Because at the end of the day, most of us are adults and understand that if I'm going to make a change in my health and in my body and in the way I feel and move, it's going to have to be a long-term change. It's until summertime or until my birthday. It's going to have to be a lifetime change in order to actually make a difference. But we don't actually count the cost of that change. We don't count the cost of what that's adding into our lives on top of everything else that we have going on. And most of us, when we get in a bad situation in our health, it's not like we do it purposely. Most of the time it's because we have to ignore, or we feel that we have to ignore, our health and our well-being, because everything else precedes that and is more important than that. And this ties back into the idea that we have to do more all the time. So we think, okay, well, I'm going to do nothing because I don't have the time to do everything. And if I don't have the time to do everything, then it's not going to work, because I've heard this influencer or this person or this coach or this trainer or this whoever that said, oh yeah, you need to make sure that you're optimizing this. You need to have this much omega-3s in your diet. You need to make sure that you're getting these many electrolytes per day. You need to get exactly this amount of sleep every day. You need to spend this much time in the gym. You've got to do these specific exercises. It's all these things that we think we have to add in. And then if we can't do that, well, it's just not for me. I guess I'll do it when my kids grow up. I guess I'll do it when I hope to get another job that gives me back my freedom. All these excuses because we don't understand that that's completely wrong. We need to flip that idea upside down on its head, okay? Instead of, I need to do everything now so I can do less later, let me do less now and do enough to actually make a difference, because over time, later, that's gonna end up being a massive change in my life. But it starts right now. It starts with one decision, not 15 decisions that you have to all of a sudden make. It starts with one decision. So when I do these kind of videos, I like to give you a challenge or a homework assignment or whatever you want to call it. So my homework assignment for you is, I want you to think about how you can simplify your systems and the things that you're doing and the things that you think you need to do in order to better your health, in order to increase your fitness, whatever. I want you to think of how much you can simplify that, not how much you can optimize it, how much you can challenge it, how quickly you can get it done, but how you can simplify it. A lot of times that means it's going to take a little bit longer than you think, but who cares? If we're getting better every day, so what if we don't get to the place we want to maintain for the rest of our life? It doesn't happen for 3 years rather than 1 year, because we make sure that we simplify the process enough that we can stay consistent week after week. So by the time we get to that 3 years, not only have we got where we want to be, you guys know how quickly 3 years can go by, but also now we've increased the value of our accomplishment. Because one, the amount of time that it took. When something takes a long time to accomplish, it means a whole lot more to you, and you cherish it a whole lot more than something that comes super quick and easy. If y'all see my video about the peanut example, that's what I was talking about. So we value those results a lot more. It means a lot more to us because it costs us more over time, not in the short term where it made it extremely difficult, but it costs us more over a longer period of time. And also because of the amount of time that it took, think about how many reps you've gotten in of practice of living a healthier lifestyle. So if it took you a year to get to your goal, you've got a year of practice. So, you know, however many workouts that is broken down, you're doing, you know, I don't know, 5 workouts a week, multiply that by 52. So many workout sessions, how many cardio sessions, how many healthy meals you chose, how many times you said no to something that you knew wasn't going to benefit you at that time. All these reps that you're getting in, all this practice that you're getting in, you have a year's worth of experience. That's cool. But if it took you 3 years, but you learn how to do it in a way that actually fits into your life, it doesn't just take away from your life, but it gives to your life. Now, imagine how much of a well-oiled machine you're gonna be when it comes to a healthy lifestyle when you've had 3 years of experience under your belt, but not just 3 years of grinding it out and doing things that are unsustainable to get to this end point within a year, but you have healthy, maintainable, consistent, effective, minimally dosed, focused tactics that you can implement easily in your life because you did it for 3 years. You can do it for the rest of your life. That's such a more beautiful ending than if we grind ourselves into a pulp like we usually do, and then we have to stop because we just hurt too much. Or what's even worse, and I think this is the part that's ignored the most, and I think it's actually the most important, especially as parents, is we grind ourselves into a pulp because we want this result and we want it a certain way in a certain amount of time and all of that. And then we forget that the whole reason why we're doing this is to better our quality of life. And who are the people that benefit the most from us bettering our quality of life? That's going to be the people that depend on us the most. Our spouses, our children, our employees, whatever it is, the people that are depend on you on a day-to-day basis, they benefit most from an increase in your quality of life. And so many people forget that that's the whole reason why we're doing this. So if you spend 6 months of grinding it out, but you're so broken and so sore and so stiff and so beat up that you can't now go out there and play with your kids, or you can't go do this thing with your spouse, or you can't go do this physical thing without spending 30 minutes to prepare for it, what are we actually even doing? Is that even really fitness? Fitness by design is supposed to enhance the quality of life and the things that you can do that life requires of you. So if we're broken all the time and our bodies are destroyed all the time, then how is that actually benefiting that life that we're doing it for to begin with? And I say this with passion, but I also say with conviction, because like up until most recently, I didn't see this. And now I feel like an idiot, because even when I came back from my spine injury and my surgeries and all that and started working and building myself back up, I still have that mentality of I got to do more. I got to grind. It's got to be hard. I need to be sore, all these different things. And then wonder why, well, why do I keep setting myself back? How do I keep getting setbacks? How do I keep tweaking this? Why do I feel worse? Like, yeah, I feel stronger, more capable. And so some of that pain, that constant weakness pain has dissipated. But now I have these other pains. I've got joint pains and aches, and my hamstrings always feel tight like they're gonna snap, and my ankles hurt because my Achilles is too tight, or my foot's too stiff, or all these different things. And I'm just gonna ignore it because I've got to continue to progress, because that's all I can do. Like, that's all there is to do. That's the only option, is more. It's gotta be more. So I challenge you to get out of that mentality of thinking that you have to do more, because as a coach, as a trainer, I used to think of it as, well, one, I've got to prove my worth. So I got to make sure people get results as fast as possible and that they feel like they're working as hard as possible. There's some merit to that. But I've learned that, what am I actually trying to give people? Am I trying to give them less body fat percentage, or am I trying to give them freedom in their life and security and capability? So that process needs to align with that. And if fitness can't fit into their life, and it's not actually making their day-to-day life better at some degree, at some point, then I'm not actually doing what it is that my job is designed to do, which is make people's life better, not just make them look better in the mirror, but then feel worse in their actual body every day. And so now I understand it much more clearly. And I see that it would be better for me to give you a program that gives you 10 to 15 minutes in your living room with no weights, no equipment, no nothing, while you're sitting there with your kids or getting them involved in it. Even though those results may be a little bit slower and a little bit less impressive because you're not benching 500 pounds and squatting twice your body weight, but that allows you to work towards the ultimate reason why you're doing this still, but also it buys back your time versus writing you the most elaborate, effective, optimized, perfect program that requires you to spend 90 minutes in the gym 5 days a week. Which one of those is actually enhancing your quality of life? Because the gym, yes, you're going to be getting more fit and you're going to get there faster, but if you're beat up the whole time, your joints feel worse, you have no energy because you're wiped out from training all the time, you don't have the bandwidth to be able to play with your kids, and then you're having to spend all your time meal prepping to get everything absolutely perfect, and then you're trying to do all these other 5 steps a day to optimize your sleep and optimize this and that, rather than just locking into the basics, the 80%, but locking in it so well that your quality of life is better than nearly everyone around you, even those that are striving for 100%. Think about that. So find the minimum effective dose of what's required to move you in the direction of where you want to go, not to get to the end point. You have to develop that over time. You have to earn that right to get there. But what's the minimum effective dose you can do right now that has the least impact on your life negatively right now in order to get you closer to that point? Because as you continue on, say you add one thing, okay, you do that for a while, you get good at that. Now it's natural, now you want it. Now you add another thing, then you add another layer. You don't bake the whole cake at one time. You want a 7-layer cake, you got to do 1 layer at a time. You got to lay it down. You got to put the icing on. You got to do the next layer. I'm sure that's probably how it works, but the principle is the same. You have to do it step by step. That's going to make it successful. If you take 7 different layers and throw them all up at one time into a pan, they're probably not going to come together to a 7-layer cake that looks pretty. But if you take your time and you're willing to do 1 step at a time, even though it takes longer, it's more tedious, it's going to have a better outcome in the end. Check this out, guys. Come on. Can y'all see? Oh, there he is. Come on. Here. There you go, buddy. All right. So find the minimum effective dose. Find things that you enjoy. If you enjoy going on a walk and interacting with nature, seeing nature, being out in it, much rather that than an elaborate cardio plan that involves you to be stuck on a treadmill or an elliptical or a Stairmaster. Your life is going to be a lot better. You're going to enjoy it a lot better. You're going to be more willing to do it, and it's going to better your life, because we have to stop ignoring the way that we feel about things. We have to stop ignoring our experience. You just tough it out and grind it out. Like, I get it, there's a time and place for that, but that's not day-to-day life. Okay, maybe you got a deadline that you got to hit. Maybe you're a bodybuilding competitor. Yes, we got a show date. Like, we have to do things temporarily to get to that point because you're a competitive athlete. Competitive athletes different. I'm not training competitive athletes. I have competitive athletes, and we train like competitive athletes, and they live like competitive athletes because that's what's required of them for their life. But if you're not a competitive athlete, you need to stop watching competitive athletes, modeling your plan and your system and what you're going to do after them, because what they're doing has no relevancy to your life. That is not the standard of health. That is the standard of competition. Okay? Again, it comes back, we're always competing. You're not competing with anybody. You're competing with death. You're competing with lack of quality of life. You're competing with losing vitality. You're competing with the odds of chronic disease. That's what you're competing with. So everything you're doing should be focusing on those things. That's the most fruit that you're going to get out of it. And guess what? In the meantime, your body's going to change. You're going to get leaner. You're going to get more muscular. You're going to feel better. You're going to move better. Everything else physically is going to benefit, but it's how you get there is going to determine what that looks like and if it's actually a life worth living. So that's it on my rant, guys. This one took a little bit longer, but I wanted to intentionally get a little bit more time in on some steps earlier before it's blazing out here. And so, yeah, this worked out. Thanks, guys. Love you guys. If y'all need anything, reach out, let me know. But in the meantime, let's get moving.